Hi, I'm Sue, and you're listening to the Shutterbug Club podcast. Today's episode is going to be something a little bit different. This is going to be just for fun, and I'm going to be reading some photography horror stories that you guys submitted. And a couple of these stories are from Reddit, but most of them are submissions from Instagram. But on this podcast today, we have our very first guest. This is one of my closest friends. Her name is Carae.
Hi, guys.
So Carae and I grew up together. We're basically cousins. There's a lot of family history, but we have always been super close growing up. And we've also talked about starting a podcast together for a really long time, so I figured I had to have her as a guest on my podcast.
And I'm super excited to be here.
Carae is a photographer, but she also has so many creative passions. I actually hired her as my virtual assistant over the summer, and she designed my first ever logo. So, Carae, why don't you just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Okay. Hi. I'm Carae. Yeah, like Sue said, we grew up together. She lives in Colorado. I live in Kansas now. I do so much stuff. I don't know. I feel like I'm constantly doing something and then change my mind and do something different. I'm still trying to find my niche that I'm passionate about, but for right now, I've been doing some photography on the side, lots of senior shoots, family shoots, little fashion shoots, just little stuff here and there, which has been fun.
What is your dream for photography? Do you want to be full-time one day, or do you like it more as a side?
I think I like it more as a side. I don't really think it's my thing that I'm super passionate about. I still love doing it, but I don't think it's something I want to do full time.
Do you know what you do want to do full-time?
Nope, I'm still trying to figure that out. So many things, for a little while I was into being a makeup artist, and I've done graphic design and social media management, content creation, dog training. Literally, I've done so many different things.
Yeah, Carae is very talented in a lot of areas, and so I feel like whatever you do, it's going to be something creative, though. You're going to put some kind of creative twist on it. Carae and I actually also started a book club with just the two of us. We started reading Fourth Wing, and I wanted to ask you, how is that going for you? How far are you?
Okay, I think I'm on chapter 6 or 7. But I really like it so far because I was in a really, a reading slump. And I feel like it's kind of gotten me out of that.
Yeah, I really
it's
like
exciting.
it.
I don't know.
It is. It's a good book, and it's easy to read
It is
too.
really.
Okay, so I want to talk about Carae's and my history, growing up a little bit. One thing I wanted to share is that Carae is actually the reason that my husband and I are now together and married, because she basically set us up. So I have her to thank.
I'm a matchmaker.
Carae, do you have any stories that you want to share from growing up together? Carae also used to live right next to me. She was my neighbor for a long time, so we were together a lot.
Every single day. I think one that's kind of funny is the salamander story. So at Sue's house, there's a couple ponds, and her dad was gonna make one of them bigger or deeper, or he was doing something. So basically, he told us to go out there and save the salamanders if we wanted to, because me and Sue were always taking care of creatures. There were so many creatures that we'd bring home. So we go out there with these buckets, and I'm not kidding, we probably caught 400 of them, and we didn't know what to do with them, so we brought them to our high school, and we kind of told our biology teacher, we were bringing them. We just didn't tell her how many. So, yeah, she was very shocked when she saw, hundreds of salamanders being brought into her room. I have a picture I can send you.
Oh, you should, yeah. We would go to the store and buy worms before school to bring into her class and feed them.
Yes, and we'd lower the water so they would morph from baby salamanders into big ones.
Yeah, that was fun. Okay, so we're gonna get into reading some of the horror stories you guys submitted. Do you want to go first, Cray? I need to pull them up really quick.
Yes, I can go first. Okay. So this one is pretty short. It's literally one sentence. um, it says, during a senior shoot, I squatted near a bush and got stung by a bee. And there's so much power in that one sentence.
I know, bee stings are awful, and I've honestly gotten stung by so many bees during photo shoots.
I would just hate to be like going to the bathroom and getting stung by one. I don't think.
Oh, yeah, if you're like squatting to pee.
Uh-huh. I don't know if that's what she was doing. I'm assuming she was squatting to get the picture, but still, like,
Yeah, I hope so, not peeing in a bush. I mean, I guess I've definitely done it out in the mountains, but yeah. Okay, I'll read mine now. Also, I did give each of the stories a title, but this is just like my title I made up, so you can read the title if you want to. But this one is called Community Over Competition. Okay. I used to have a friend who thought my work was a competition. Whatever I did, she did and would try to copy. She was my shadow for years and still kind of is. She is the same photographer that won't take the time to edit your photos, and she edits your photographs on her phone. I once sat next to her in a public setting as she was editing photos she took of me and another person. So awkward. Just be you. Your work is your work. Your only competitor is yourself in this field, in my opinion. So I know it can be really tricky when you feel like somebody is just always copying your work, and it can be hard to like be yourself and create new work, but honestly, I think you're so right by just saying that you should just be yourself because you can never really grow if you're trying to copy someone else.
yeah, definitely not. And, you want to like find your own unique thing that sets you apart from the other photographers in your area. So,
Yeah, at the same time, it is a little bit of a compliment when somebody copies you because that just means they're looking up to you, but they just need to find their own way eventually.
yeah. Okay. This one is called Photographers Are Humans Too. I was shooting a 10-hour wedding early in my career. During the consult, I discussed with the bride, since I was getting there around 8 a.m., that I would need to eat prior to the reception. They told me they planned on ordering pizza for the bridal party and would save some for me and my second shooter. During the morning, me and my second shooter were getting weird comments because we were doing photos outside and not every photo at the altar. It was from some of the older fashioned members in the party. Anyways, we were just getting weird vibes. After we finished up doing the portraits and getting ready, we stopped back into the bridal suite. They had not left us any pizza. Honestly, wasn't a big deal because I made sure to pack me and the second shooter sandwiches just in case. So we decided to eat anyways. We had been eating maybe 5 minutes when the bride's mom stormed in, giving us terrible looks, asking what in the world we were doing, and getting mad at us for eating a sandwich. I explained we had been there since 8 and reception wasn't until 6, so we had to eat in order to properly take photos, and she stormed off. Safe to say that food is now part of my contract. Funny because when my clients see this part, now they're like, of course we will feed you. Also, fun fact, these clients were members of my church and I still see them. I don't think I'll ever forget. Yeah, definitely make sure you're feeding your photographers, and if you're a photographer or a videographer, or it doesn't even matter, if you're working long days, like make sure you're bringing food just in case. It's really important.
That was so smart of the photographer to bring a sandwich, though, like she already knew. But honestly, I used to be so afraid to eat during weddings. When I did my first few weddings, I used to feel like I was not allowed to take a break. And so I'm glad I got over that. But it's definitely important to rest. That way you can get better photos.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't believe that they were members of their church, so they have to see them still all the time.
Very awkward.
This one is titled Bride Tries to Take Me to Court. First wedding I did 2 weeks ago. Groom couldn't be found for an hour once we got to the hotel, so they lost an hour of shooting time. It was about 65 degrees and a light rain all day. Pissed bride as it is, the shuttle bus broke down. This seems to happen a lot. About 4 weddings this year for me, this has happened. The sand ceremony vases got knocked over and broke. Bride's anger intensifies. There's zero coordination on the bride's part to tell me times aside from when to be where. Once again, wasted more of her time. Then she gets 835 images, a 12 by 12 album for only 1,500, mind you, and 10 hours and an engagement shoot. And she hates all of it because it wasn't the stuff on my Pinterest. And there wasn't enough pictures for what I paid you. That's in quotation marks. There wasn't enough pictures for what I paid you. Sure enough, she tried to lawyer up and brought the lawyer the contract, and she dropped the case. I'm off to a great start, ... That's a crazy first wedding to have.
Yeah.
But the thing that stands out to me the most in this is that you delivered 800 images.
That is insane.
That is a lot of images. I feel like I actually seen a TikTok video about this today, and it was like somebody saying how they were like saying it was a part of their business where they deliver a lot of images, and the comments were heated. Like, a lot of people were like, why don't photographers deliver more images? They're just holding it back for no reason. But in my opinion, if you deliver more images, it honestly makes the gallery worse. And she might have even liked the pictures better if you didn't deliver all of the bad ones, because then she's just going to focus on the ones where she looks really bad.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with that. My galleries stay like pretty small. Also, that is just a lot of work. Like, I'm not saying, cut corners with your editing and stuff, but that is so many pictures to edit for only charging that much.
I actually don't think it would be possible for me to edit that many photos and make a living, because I spend so much time editing.
Yeah, that is insane. But I'm glad she dropped the
But
case. That's good.
and I'm like sorry you had that really bad first experience, but it sounds like you stuck at it, so hopefully it's going better.
Yeah, and for this being your first wedding shoot, I'm really glad that you had a contract because it was good for you in the end. So the next one is called Anything for the Shot. I kind of like already skimmed through this story and it's kind of crazy, but okay. I had a family that wanted photos taken on the train tracks, so that is what we did. There was a man in a construction neon green vest with an orange flag who looks like the kind of person that would warn you if there was a train coming through soon. He said only the Polar Express later tonight, so I thought we would be fine. They insisted that we be slightly on the bridge, but right on the line to where it was not trespassing. Keep in mind there was 2 grandmas and 1 grandpa a part of this family shoot. I began arranging them for the perfect shot, and right about when I had them all perfect, the dad yelled, "Train!" We all panicked. This train wasn't going slow either. It was hauling butt. But we couldn't just get off the tracks because we were on a bridge, so we had to run towards the train to get off. I began to run off when I looked back, and the mom and one of the grandmas was struggling. She was trying to pick up her sunglasses she had put down. The train was blowing its whistle and making the whole situation more stressful. I, of course, had to go back and scooped up the grandma like a baby and carried her off the train tracks, barely missing the train. I hadn't even taken one picture yet, but I had to do the whole shoot while I was shaking up, trying to not make my camera shake. I was shook for the rest of the day. It was a crazy, unforgettable experience. I can say I will never do anything like that again. There's just so much chaos going on.
That sounds terrifying. The fact that she scooped up the grandma, like, I don't know what I would do. What if she couldn't get to the grandma?
Yeah, that's... and you'd think you would have been warned.
Yeah, I actually don't know if this is a male or female. I say she, but these are submitted anonymously, so I have no idea who's submitting them.
Oh my gosh. And just the fact that everybody was like, oh yeah, let's just continue the shoot. I would have been like, can we reschedule? Like, I just saw my life flash before my eyes.
That really is anything for the shot.
Yeah, but what a good photographer. Taking pictures and saving lives.
Okay. This next one is titled A Thought for Photographers. I'm a full-time wheelchair user and I always warn photographers ahead of time. Angles and posing are a lot different than a typical shoot. After talking for a bit, this photographer accepted a job and we set a time/place. Everything seemed great until we started taking photos, and it was a lot of locations on grass, transferring out of my wheelchair onto ledges, and overall things that were just really challenging and not flattering. In my chair, I would just be sitting there in the middle of a path, no directions on how to position or use my arms. Photos came back all right, but not great. Most of them were at weird angles since she stayed at a standing height and was 2 foot taller than me. She didn't post any of the photos I was in despite posting all her other photos from this event. Felt pretty bad as a client to know that my wheelchair wouldn't appear in her portfolio as an example for other wheelchair users in my town. This isn't to say she was awful because she was super nice and also got my friends, not disabled, some absolutely gorgeous photos. This story just goes to show that adapting is so important, especially in Colorado. I really struggle to find anyone with a portfolio that includes indoor and seated pictures. A lot of photographers don't really know how to work with disabled folk or adjust to their posing for these situations, and it really shows in portfolios. Disabled models are almost non-existent in local photographers' work, despite being a common group in the community. I just want to say thank you for submitting your story, and I think this is something that needs to be talked about more, and I'm sure that was vulnerable for you to share, but wheelchairs are really not represented a lot in photography, and I think everyone deserves a photo shoot and deserves to feel beautiful, so thank you for sharing that.
Yes, and as far as like the photographers go, especially if you know like who you're taking, pictures of, like try to find some like poses, to make them feel included, to make sure that you're getting good pictures of them that are quality because in the end like it makes like a world of difference, And it just shows that you're like a photographer willing to do everything that you need to do.
That's so true.
This next one is called Shooting for Free. Around 7 years ago, I was doing charity weddings still. If a couple absolutely could not afford a photographer that would produce decent results, I would take the date. Long story short, we showed up and things seemed a little off. Things were pretty well done up. There was what I thought to be violin music playing over a PA or something, but it wasn't. It was a violinist. As we walked up to the house, another man pulled up and waved hello. Hey, he said, who are you? We're the photographers. Oh, me too. Oh, do you know the couple? Are you a friend or in the family? No, I asked to shoot their wedding on Craigslist. Excellent. We meet the couple. They pulled us aside and explained that we were the real photographers. Ah, I see now, because the other guy with the pro gear is here for more free pictures, I suppose. I walked around and talked to the vendors, all getting paid. Kinda says a great deal about how important photography is to them. Anyway, the couple was extremely unwelcoming, cold, and half the family were flat out jerks. The other half didn't have a chance to be jerks because they didn't speak English. Too bad I never told them I spoke Spanish because then they most likely wouldn't have said condescending things to us in Spanish. Oh well. Hung around, shot a little, and left. I'm sure the other photographer had it under control. I think I would be pretty upset.
Yeah, especially since he's just trying to help people out who can't afford photo shoots and he gets taken advantage of.
And is basically just like second shooter to a stranger.
Yeah, that's just an awful experience.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this next one is titled, Is This Illegal? I was shooting a bachelorette party on a boat and half the group went off to a secluded side of the sandbar. I followed them with a camera, not realizing that they were smoking weed over there, lol. I decided to go to the other group of girls instead, so I wasn't taking photos of them smoking, and one of the girls proceeded to follow me and ask if I wanted to join them. I said thank you so much, but no, and she said, oh, I get it, you're working, but we don't care, just let us know if you want some, haha, and I didn't take them up on it. This is funny because I feel like photographers get offered a lot of things when they're working, especially. I know I've definitely been offered drinks and stuff, and I feel like it really depends on you personally, but also the bride and groom. If the bride or groom doesn't specifically tell me, then I will not do it.
Yeah, it's just like a respect thing. I mean, they're paying you, so you don't want to, and you don't want to give yourself a bad image either as a photographer.
Yeah, one time I was shooting a wedding though, and this group asked me to take a shot, and I was like, yeah, sure. And so I walk over with my camera, getting ready to take the picture, and then the bartender goes to hand me a shot, and I was really confused. I was like, oh, I thought you meant a picture.
Clarify for your photographers, guys. Okay, this next one is called Clients from Craigslist, which already sounds horrifying. I've done some weddings, but one that stands out is one that I did not shoot. Oh, okay. I'm still getting my name out with photography, and I use Craigslist for free advertisement. I found this one lady that had very little money and just wanted some easy stuff. I said yes and asked if we could meet and talk things out. I met her and everything went smoothly. I took the day off from my other job. In about 3 hours, she calls before I'm about to show up. She basically found a deal online where she can get a photo booth instead of me. She bought a photo booth. She did her entire wedding with a photo booth, and from that I've learned to always have a contract for when stuff like this happens. Okay, there's a couple things about this one. Yeah, definitely you should have a contract because that really sucks. 3 hours before a wedding. Also, a photo booth. Now, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but it's just not going to be the same quality.
Yeah, these people in a lot of these stories just really don't value photographers.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like photography, honestly, is a really misunderstood industry.
I agree.
Like, clients don't understand a lot of the reasons photographers do things they do, but to us, it makes so much sense.
Like, I remember when I was your second shooter for that one wedding, and it's a lot of work. It was like a 10-hour day for us, and we were on our feet all day long. It was hot. It was the middle of summer, and me and Sue were just like running around like crazy trying to get different pictures of different people, and it was exhausting.
That was like an easier wedding, too. Usually they're a lot more chaotic, but actually, that's really funny. I do want to tell a story. One time I made Zach second shoot with me, my husband, and surprisingly, he's actually really good at photography, even though he's never learned anything. He just is a natural with it. But I brought him with me to a wedding to help me out, and he said to me, I'm sorry I said this was easy. And that honestly was everything I needed. I was like, thank you.
Yeah, Sue also puts in the work because a lot of you probably know that are listening, but Sue, like, literally, she takes so much time for each of her shoots. Like, she'll hand make stuff. Like, she picks out the outfits, the makeup, the hair. Like, Sue does a lot of behind the scenes work that you don't really see.
Oh, you're so sweet. I guess you would know that since you helped me plan photo shoots for a while.
And Sue, she's always busy. And she's always working on the next thing at the same time, so.
That's true. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I think this is our last story. Are you done with your stories?
Yeah, mine are done.
Okay, our last story, it's titled, Don't Do This to Your Photographer. I'm a photographer. This happened my first year for photography. I'm now a 5-year photographer. I was working for a photography company and I was doing a family photo shoot in studio. It was a busy Saturday, and when it's busy, we rotate rooms every 15 minutes. The shoot was coming to a close as we are finishing in the last room, as I am giving the mom details on how long it will take me to edit photos and for them to come back and view them. As I am explaining, she tells her husband to take the kids out of the room and up front to help make the room available for the next group. She then shuts the door behind them and asks if I can help her with something, and tells me it's her husband's birthday that week and wants to do something special for him. At this point, I'm going through my camera to make sure I got all the pictures I needed. I then look up from my camera to see this woman taking off her shirt. She is wanting me to take a photo of her in her bra, lace, and see-through, frozen in shock. We have cameras in our studio for safety promotions, and our clients also know this. We also don't offer boudoir in our studio either. I took one picture and said, all good, and left the room. I was in shock, and she didn't even explain what she wanted to do before taking off her shirt. I ended up giving her the photo. My manager was pissed as we don't do those kinds of photos. So this is just a terrible position to put your photographer in because not everyone is comfortable with taking those kinds of pictures.
Mm-mm.
I'm all for like getting boudoir pictures and having something special to give as a gift, but definitely communicate before.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to throw somebody off guard. And also, like, make sure you're telling your photographer what you're about to do before you start stripping down, because I would be so uncomfortable if that happened to me.
Yeah, that's just a hard situation also because this isn't the photographer's business. Like she's working for somebody else and they don't allow this. So there's not that much you can do in a situation like this. But I think this photographer handled it very well.
Me too.
Okay, well, that's all of our stories we have for today. Thank you guys so much for coming on the podcast and chatting with us. Before we end, Carae, I want to ask you if you want to share like where people can find you if they want to reach out and say hello or look at your work.
Yes, so you guys can find me on Instagram. My handle is Carae Design, and that's where I post all my photography. Let's see, hold on. I can pull it up for you guys. It's Carae.design. So if you're YouTube, sorry my phone is like crazy. Okay. But yeah. So, if you're in Kansas.
Yeah, hit her up. Okay, well, bye. Thanks for being here.